the resource persons. Thank you to the galaxy of generals, admirals, and Air Force people who have come here. Thank you to them. Thank you to the students that have come from other schools. Thank you to those schools. And I also want to thank the media through Rishabh Gulati, who is here with NewsX. And we will hopefully send the message of this seminar through that news channel. We also have in this room, you will meet them as this seminar goes on. We have two people who got a Paramveer Chakra. They are here with us. We are lucky to have them. You are lucky to have them. You are young. You've got your future ahead of you. You are young Indians. You are at the age where you have to form your minds, your careers. And please look at these people and learn from them, not just the history of Kargil, but also their attitude, their determination, what they did for the country, what you will do for this country as you grow up. So there are two of them here. You know their names. I can, of course, name them, but you will be meeting them in person. So that's Honorary Captain Yogendra Yadav and Subedar Major Sanjay Kumar. They were in Kargil, so we have two people from Kargil who got the Paramveer Chakra in our midst. But in addition to that, we have a Mahavir Chakra, 5 Veer Chakras, many Shaurya Chakras. This is a phenomenal gathering. Very few places you get so many bravery awardees in one hall, in one room. And you young people are lucky that you're in their midst. You meet them, see what their attitudes were, what enabled them to get to those high achievements, and try to emulate them. Try to do what they did. Remember, whatever you do, only do that where you can do your best. If you cannot put in your best, better not to do it. So it's the attitude that you must see from these people. See what they've done. See what they've done for our country. It is very rare that you get a chance to mingle with them. This seminar is not going to be only bhashans and speeches for you. There will be some of that. But the idea is that we will have tea breaks, lunch breaks. And in the lunch break, we will mingle with you. The former chief of the Navy, the former vice chief of the Army, the former people who commanded the various army formations, Northern Army, Western Army, all of them are here. And you must take advantage of that. Don't miss this opportunity. Don't lose this opportunity. It's not going to come very often. I also want to tell you that maybe in the Rashtrapati Bhavan sometimes there are many generals. But outside that and outside some military formations, you'll never get this galaxy of stars. And why I say stars is because, you know, when you become a brigadier or an air commodore in the Air Force or a commodore in the Navy, you get a star on your car. Then you move to the next rank, which is a major general or rear admiral or, you know, the Air Vice Marshal. Then you get 2 stars. And then you go to the next and you get 3 stars. And finally, as a chief, you get 4. You know, in this room, under this roof, the stars are here among you. We've got at least 40 stars in this room today. That is phenomenal. Give them a hand. And there are people who have spent their lives for this nation. They have survived, and so they are here. Usually, the Paramveer Chakra in particular is given for an act in which normally people don't survive. It is some such great form of bravery that most people who get that level, the Victoria Cross or the Paramveer Chakra, they die. But some survive. Maybe 18 bullets, but survived. Maybe 10 bullets, but survived. Those are the people we have. They are the survivors, and very rare to survive and get a Paramveer Chakra. Hands to them. These people were ready to die for India. I know many of you love your country and you will also succeed. Become soldiers, if not in the army, navy or air force. Become soldiers in the farms, become great farmers. Become soldiers as scientists in the laboratories. Soldiers as teachers in a school like this. Soldiers in the university as professors. Anywhere in the Indian economy, contribute to this nation, become soldiers. Learn from them. They were in the army, navy and air force, but they were soldiers. And you, as you grow older, as you pass out of school, you also do something for this nation. Talk to them, they will be available. Don't hesitate. They are important people. They are fearsome people, but they kill Pakistanis, they don't kill Indians. So talk to them. Remember that. And I also want to say to you that this school has the privilege of being the only school in India at the moment which does military history seminar. There are other schools that will hopefully come up. We don't have a monopoly on this. We want all schools to do military history seminars. If you go to France and you talk to the French school children, they'll tell you what the French army did for them. You go to Germany, the German boys and girls will tell you what the German army did for them. Similarly in UK. But in India, if we go out onto the road outside and say to a well-dressed man who looks educated, 65 की लड़ाई में क्या हुआ था? What happened in the 1965 war? And the chances are he doesn't remember. He doesn't even know. That's our knowledge of our armed forces. That's our knowledge of what our country is there for. These people have saved our border. In Kargil in particular, the then chief, a man called Musharraf, General Musharraf, he plotted and he planned. He even didn't let his own prime minister know. He did a fantastic thing at that time. He entered Indian territory. You will learn about this. He set up bunkers. There were fortifications in concrete. He had food supplies. He had ammunition. They were very well equipped even to go through the winter. Now the Indian army had to evict them. The task fell on the 8th Mountain Division, which was then commanded by a Major General, Mohindapuri, who rose to become a Lieutenant General. He's here with us. We've got the same man who got Kargil back. Of course, the other units of the armed forces, the Air Force, there is a Veer Chakra who participated in the Air Force then as a wing commander, and he got a Veer Chakra. He retired as an Air Commodore. Those people are here. There's a person who rose to become a Northern Army commander. He was then a unit commander, and he is here with a Veer Chakra. You will meet them. So you find out their names and tell me at the end of the seminar who was the Veer Chakra, was a unit commander, and then he became an army commander. Who was the person who, there were some people in the 71 war who got Veer Chakras. They are here. They are here because they rose to high positions and they are friends of this school. One of them is our own vice chairman. One of them is the chief guest here who got a Veer Chakra in 1971 war. He was loaned to the Air Force, so I don't know whether the Air Force takes credit for that Veer Chakra or whether the Navy does, but what I know is the bravery was his. He is quite modest, but there was a man called Chuck Yeager who broke the world speed record as the first man to fly a plane faster than the sound of speed. The speed of sound, speed of sound. And his plane was there. He was teaching the Pakistan Air Force, training them. And you know, when a fighter pilot goes across the border and he's coming back, he's not supposed to bring ammunition back. So he expends it on something, a locomotive, a railway track or something. He saw a plane standing there. It was Chuck Yeager's plane. And Admiral Arun Prakash, who had got the Veer Chakra for shooting down a Pakistani plane, he also shot Chuck Yeager's plane. Chuck Yeager was very upset and he said, "What was this? Why did you hit my private plane?" But that's war, everything is fair in love and war. Love also, be careful when you grow up. Everything is fair in love also. So now, as you young people are here, and I want to tell you that it is the job of this school to educate children. And education is not only academics, physics, chemistry, maths. No, it's much more. So you have to learn etiquette, manners, courtesy. If you see some waste paper on the floor, pick it up and drop it in the next waste bin. You can't do it everywhere, but you can do it in this school. Usually you won't find junk in this school because our boys are trained to pick it up and throw it in the next waste paper basket. So that you have to learn. You have to learn attitude. You have to learn how to behave with your neighbors. You have to learn how to behave with ladies. You have to learn how to resist temptation. Today in the world, outside, there is so much temptation. And you have to remember, resist temptation. You know what I'm talking about. Half the world is vaping. Don't get into all that. You want to go ahead and do what these people have done? Resist temptation. And do well. And with that, I think my time is running out. Though, of course, the principal said, कोई बात नहीं, आप 7 मिनट का जो सोचा है बोलना ना, और जो मैंने 15 मिनट बोल दिया तो 2 बार वही चीज कह देना, 15 मिनट हो जाएंगे. So anyway, I've said it once. I don't want to bore you because you'll say, oh, that fellow with the white hair came and bored us. So I just want to tell you, thank you for coming to Welham School. Our principal, our students, our staff. This school is very happy to have you. We'll do our best for you. If you have a problem, tell us and we'll help you. But go back with good memories. Spread the message. Mr. Rishabh Gulati of NewsX is also with a request, our request, please spread the message. Tell them what the armed forces do. Spread the message of the Indian Armed Forces. Thank you. Thank you very much.
सर, हा माझा CV.
तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
विकासाची कास घेतो, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर, हा माझा CV.
तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
विकासाची कास घेतो, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर, हा माझा CV.
तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
विकासाची कास घेतो, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर हा माझा सी व्ही.
तुमचा सी व्ही खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिलकर के गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करें.
दैट स्लोगन, ना जात पर ना पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला.
सर हा माझा सी व्ही.
तुमचा सी व्ही खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
Mr. Darshan Singh, Chairman, Board of Trustees of Welham Boys School, Mrs. Sangeeta Kain, respected Principal, all the generals, admirals and air marshals present here, boys and girls. Mr. Darshan Singh spoke about stars sitting on the sofas, but to my mind all the stars are out there. All of you young people who are going to be tomorrow's Indian citizens and leaders, you are the stars of today, not us here. Let me start by expressing my sentiments at having met for the first time two awardees of the Paramveer Chakra. My wife and I feel honored and greatly inspired by meeting Honorary Captain Yogendra Yadav and Subedar Major Sanjay Kumar. आप दोनों से मिलके हमको बहुत खुशी हुई. आप दोनों को बहुत बहुत बधाई और धन्यवाद इस पूरे देश का. Thank you. Let me thank Mr. Darshan Singh, the principal and the organizers of this seminar for having invited me. It's a privilege for me as a veteran to be here this morning amongst this great audience. This is also an appropriate time for me to express my personal gratitude to Mr. Darshan Singh for having conceived, nurtured and implemented this great initiative of organizing a military history seminar, which the rest of the country unfortunately had for many years ignored. I'll talk more about that. So, Darshan, thank you very much. I speak on behalf of the military fraternity, both serving and retired, I hope, in expressing our deep appreciation and gratitude to you for having organized this seminar. In Mr. Darshan Singh, as your chairman of your board, you have a real gem, because I have served in the board of this school for a few years, and it was always inspiring to hear him speak his mind. He doesn't think on normal lines like all of the rest of us. He's always thinking ahead, thinking in an inspired manner. So I think you should all be grateful that the destiny of this school is being guided by a person like Mr. Darshan Singh, who's a very inspiring personality, a great thinker, and the school has a great future. Now, in spite of what was said by Mr. Darshan Singh, I'm sure there are
a few young people here who are wondering, why are we going to spend 2 days listening to old fogies hold forth from here, or why do we have to meet these people? Well, give me a few minutes to explain the rationale. But before I start all that, let me quote to you a Spanish philosopher called George Santayana, who had said many years ago, he said, those who do not read history are doomed to repeat it. Quite clear what he said. Then another American author called Mark Twain, he said something slightly different. He said, history may not repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So what they are trying to say is that you need not follow history blindly, because things don't happen over and over again, but there are a lot of similarities. Human behavior remains the same. So do follow history. So I would urge you to remember these lines, because as Indians, as a nation and as a civilization, we have been truly and sadly remiss in not paying enough attention both to the writing of history and, equally important, to the reading of history. And military history has been a big sufferer for reasons which are not clear at all. As Mr. Darshan Singh said, other countries take a lot of pride, but we did not even have a war memorial till a few years ago. We had a magnificent war memorial in Delhi. It's called India Gate. But that memorial is dedicated to soldiers who fought in the Afghan wars in the First World War, not to our people who fought for free India. So that is the kind of, that's the state of affairs. So let me go a little bit into history at the risk of boring you, but I'm sure it's not something that you read in books that I'm going to talk about. Now, throughout our ancient past, an endless stream of invaders came over the mountains through the passes, Hindu Kush mountain range, etc. It all started in the 6th century BC, before Christ, by the Persians. The Persian king Cyrus sent his armies across to India. Then they were followed by the Persians, then came the Arabs, then came the Mongols, Afghans, Mughals, and so on. So there has been a series of invasions, because the Indo-Gangetic plain, about which you read in your geography, was a very rich area full of fertile land and a lot of money available and so on. So these invaders came. But many of these invaders stayed back, and they were absorbed by the rich culture, Indian culture, and they became Indians. So today, in many of our DNAs, you'll find Greek, Persian DNA, etc. So we are all Indians here. But in the 15th century, early 15th century, a different phenomenon started. We started getting invaders from a different direction, from Europe. And these invaders came by sea. And they crossed our shores. India, as you know, is a peninsula surrounded by the sea on 3 sides. So these people came by sea. And to our bad luck, at that point in our history, we had no navy, no ruler with a vision of maritime, that a ruler who could imagine that we would also get invasion from over our coast. And that is really sad and ironic, because for 2,000 or 3,000 years before that, India was a great maritime power. It is coming out now slowly. There's an English author called William Dalrymple, which some of you may come across. He's written a new book. And in that book, he says quite clearly that it was not China, as everybody believes, but it was India. And Indian sailors who went across the seas to the west. They went as far as the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, to countries like Rome, Mesopotamia, Persia, and so on, and traded with them thousands of years before Christ. And to our west, brave Indian sailors went across the stormy Bay of Bengal as far as through Indonesia, Malaya, Cambodia, Siam, as far as Japan, to take culture, religion, architecture. So all this went by sea. So we were a great sea power up to a certain point of time. And that point of time was the 10th, 11th century AD, after Christ. At that point of time, one of the greatest sea powers in the world was in India, the Chola dynasty in South India. They ruled a major chunk of South India. The Chola dynasty had a great maritime power, a navy, and they went to war with another power across the seas, which was the Srivijaya Empire, Indonesian empire based in Sumatra. So the Cholas and the Srivijayas fought a huge war, great war at sea. The Cholas were victorious. They took the Srivijaya king prisoner and they prevailed. But the sad part was that in this lengthy war, we lost our maritime superiority and India's sea power declined. The Arabs came and took over. Why I'm telling you all this is that it is now emerging. Now we believe that we are a maritime power. Till quite recently, we suffered from what the Navy calls sea blindness. Again, part of our history, part of our military history, we forgot that we were a great maritime power once. And why I'm emphasizing this is because we did not believe in maritime power, we did not have an adequate naval force. It was through the seas that the Europeans came, they colonized us, they exploited us, they took away our riches, and for the next 400 years, we became colonies, subjects of European powers. Why? Because we did not have sea power or maritime power, and we were sea blind. Of course, there were a few bright spots. There were a few Indians who were inspired. People like the Samudri of Zamarin. He's called the Zamarin of Calicut. He's called the Zamarin. Then he had sea captains of a clan called the Kunjali Marakars. That was in the 14th, 15th century. Then they were followed by a Maratha admiral called Kanoji Angre. So they were the odd bright spots, but overall we forgot that we were a maritime power and we lost our freedom, our sovereignty to European powers because of this amnesia. Coming then to the colonial era where we were ruled in parts by the British, by the French, somewhere by the Dutch and so on. There were continuous conflicts between the Europeans and Indian rulers. The Europeans came as trading companies under the pretext that they wanted to do business and go away. But actually, they wanted control of our land, of our country, which they did. They fought wars with our Indian rulers. So continuously between the Europeans and the Indian rulers, whether it was the Sikhs, the Marathas, the Mysoreans, the Manipuris, there were battles. There were two Sikh wars, there were 4 Maratha wars, Karnataka wars and so on, about which you will read. But we were continuously at war. So our land, our ancient land, our colonial time, we have seen conflict, we have seen wars. We won some wars, we lost some wars. The reasons, of course, are complex. One is, of course, technologically we were backwards, and that is something that your generation is going to fix, that we will now be technologically equal or ahead of the rest of the world. We were not united. Our rulers did not get together and fight a common enemy. They fought separately. Sometimes they lost. And of course, from the leadership angle also there was a void, and therefore we lost most of the conflicts that took place. Therefore, against the background of what I'm saying is, the study of our country's military history offers us a valuable tool for understanding the past, influencing our present, remembering what happened in the past. Let's not do that again. Let's sort it out. Let's remain united. Let's not divide the country, because when we were divided, we lost. So let's not make the same mistake, and let us shape our future so that we don't repeat the past. So let me give you 2-3 reasons why military history should be interesting and should be of concern to you. One, by studying historical conflicts, military leaders, that is people like us who served in uniform, can pinpoint the mistakes that were made earlier and avoid repeating them. By analyzing past trends in warfare, we can help predict potential future. For our civilian leaders, the politicians, the statesmen, who actually decide when to fight a war and how to fight a war. People in uniform only execute what we are told by our political leadership. For them, military history should foster critical thinking. They should analyze. They should also analyze the past and understand why nations go to war, and if they do go to war, how a war is best fought, what kind of aims you should follow. For the public at large, as Mr. Darshan Singh pointed out, the man on the street today may or may not know what his Army, Navy and Air Force have done in the past or what they are doing today. So it is important for the common man also to know about the threats, the challenges that the country faces. Who are the people who are guarding his safety, the man on the street? He can sleep safely tonight because there is a Jawan in Siachen guarding him, or there's a sailor at sea or an airman flying above him. So for the common man also it is important to know about about history. And as for you, the world is your oyster. You can become anything you want after you leave schools, lawyer, engineer, doctor, businessman, whatever. But do remember, the armed forces is a very honorable and respectable and adventurous career awaits you if you should decide to join the armed forces. Just 3 days ago, we saw off 2 young lady officers, young girls from Goa. These 2 girls are going to go on a voyage in a small boat, just the 2 of them. They are going to circumnavigate the whole world. It will take them 7-8 months. They will face huge challenges. It's a tremendous adventure. How many young people can hope to do something like this? So people who join the armed forces can do anything: fly, sail, mountaineer. You know, the whole world is before you. So do listen out, do meet the veterans here, and decide what you want to do in the future. Okay, now one of the things is that we look at military history, as I said, to learn lessons. But to learn lessons, we must have the humility and the moral courage to face up to the mistakes that we made. We must take pride in our victories and in our achievements. At the same time, we must have the moral courage to face the mistakes we made. In Kargil, we achieved a lot. I will come to that. But there were also mistakes made which we must learn and make sure we don't do those things again. You will hear from the people who actually planned and took part in this operation. Coming back a bit to history, I must tell you that when we compare ourselves to other countries, we need to really introspect. For example, Greece is supposed to be the cradle of civilization, but so is India. Let's not forget that. But Greece had a historian called Herodotus. Herodotus goes back to the 6th century BC when he started writing history. And some of his writings have still survived. Pieces of papyrus are available in museums. So Herodotus started writing Greek history in the 6th century before Christ. Then there was another general called Thucydides. He was also a Greek general. He fought a war called the Peloponnesian War, 7-year-long war. While he was fighting the war, he was also writing history. And he's produced a history of the Peloponnesian Wars, which was written by a fighting general while participating in combat. I'm just giving you these examples that similarly, most countries and most civilizations have produced historians who've written accounts of their combat and their so on. Unfortunately, we have not had too many such people. Coming to closer to the present era, apart from whatever happened in the past history and in colonial eras, our soldiers fought in both the great wars of the 20th century. In the First World War, 13 lakh, 1.3 million Indian soldiers fought in the war. They fought in Mesopotamia, they fought in Africa, they fought in France, and out of them about 80,000 people died. Soldiers died on the battlefields of Europe, Africa, everywhere. In World War II, 25 lakh, 2.5 million Indian soldiers fought in World War II. Similarly, about 1 lakh of them died on the battlefield. They fought in famous battles like Monte Cassino, Kasserine Pass, Tobruk, El Alamein. I mean, their blood is shed in various continents. But again, we forgot about them. They were our kith and kin, our people from our villages who went and fought. Of course, they fought for the British, but still they fought with bravery, with courage. Many of them were awarded Victoria Crosses, like our two Mahavir Chakra, Paramveer Chakras here. They were awarded, but again we failed to recognize, acknowledge our own kith and kin fighting, shedding blood, etc. Since independence, we have fought 5 major wars. In 1962, we were attacked by the Chinese. We fought back to the best of our ability. Our soldiers fought. They were short of arms, ammunition. They were not provided with warm clothes to wear in the snowy mountains. And yet they fought. They fought to the best of their ability. They died there and left their bodies there. They fought for the country. 1965, we were attacked by Pakistan in the hope of capturing Kashmir. They made a secret plan to take over Kashmir by stealth. Again, our 3 services fought back. pushed them back, crossed the international border. We nearly captured Lahore. Again, blood was shed. Then, of course, 1971, where the Indian Armed Forces liberated the eastern part of Pakistan, which was being subjected to extreme butchery and torture. Our armed forces created a new country, Bangladesh, and then honorably withdrew from that country, which never happened before. Then, of course, we've had cross-border terrorism all along, and then came Kargil in 1999, Galwan in 2020. So we have seen our armed forces have been engaged almost continuously in some form of combat or the other, and this is unique. So the question arises, have we studied our wars enough? Have we learned from our mistakes? Have we learned from the things we did right and the things we didn't do quite right? The only answer is that generals, politicians must learn from past lessons, but also the citizen must learn. The citizen is a taxpayer. The Army, Navy, Air Force is sustained and maintained and armed and equipped with the money paid by the taxpayer. So every citizen has a right to look into how the armed forces are performing, praise our victories and our things that we do right, but when we go wrong, it is the taxpayer's right to know. And anybody who says that it is secret and you don't need to know is not quite right. So as young citizens, you must remember that the armed forces are a citizen's army. We are a citizen army paid and funded by you. Today, young ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to discuss the Kargil War, and as pointed out to you, we have people who have actually participated in it, shed blood in it. There are people who planned it, supervised it, oversaw what happened in Kargil. Kargil was unique for a number of reasons. One, we were taken by surprise. We've been taken by surprise earlier too, but this was a very treacherous and stealthy operation by our neighbor. We did not expect it to happen. Number two, this war was fought at an extremely high altitude. I don't think rarely has a combat or a war been fought at such high altitudes, and rarely have artillery and aircraft been employed to undertake operations at those heights, and our people who fought there were really unique. We were fighting a war uphill. The enemy had occupied positions on slopes. Our soldiers were asked to recover those slopes from down below to up. That is one of the most difficult and dangerous operations of war, is to attack uphill. They say you need to have superiority of 9-10 times. Our soldiers often went, then they were same as the enemy. They shed blood, they died on the slopes, but they recaptured. So this is a unique operation, and you are fortunate to have an opportunity to learn all about it. I've spoken enough, I think. Before I close, let me close with mention of two wars which are currently happening in different parts of the world. You have the war in Europe, where Russia and Ukraine have been fighting for almost 2 years. Then we have a war in the Middle East, where Israel is attacking Palestine. Now all our attention is focused on the technologies being used. Everybody is talking about drones and robotic platforms and long-range missile, hypersonic missile, space technology and surveillance and so on. But please do remember that technology keeps changing with time, from bows and arrows to stirrups to gunpowder to missiles. Technology has been changing, and it does have an impact on warfare. But history, as I quoted to you earlier what the philosopher said, history often tends to repeat itself in many ways. As far as the European war is concerned, just remember that this is not the first time that Russia is involved in a war. Russia has been attacked twice in history. Its very existence was threatened in the 18th century by Napoleon. Napoleon's grand army went to capture Moscow, but they were beaten back. In the 20th century, Hitler attacked Russia in the hope of bringing it down. Once again, Hitler's Wehrmacht was pushed back. Both these armies were destroyed by Russia. So just bear that in mind. I'm not predicting the future. As far as the Middle East is concerned, during World War II, Hitler, who was a dictator and a fascist, he decided that he would solve what he called the Jewish problem by capturing all the Jews, putting them in concentration camps and trying to wipe them out. He killed 6.5 million Jews Hitler did. Today we see it is Israel, the Jewish homeland, which is attacking the Palestinians and trying to find a solution for their homeland. Again, difficult to predict what's going to happen, but there again we have a historical precedent. What the future will do is not for us to predict. So, young ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. I assure you that the next 2 days are going to be exciting, interesting, and very educational for you. So please, I encourage you to listen carefully, question the speakers if you wish to, interact with them, talk to them, and learn as much as you can. This is a most valuable opportunity, and I hope you make the most of it. So thank you for your attention. Have a very enjoyable and educative next 2 days. Thank you. Jai Hind.
करतेस की मी करू? एक दृष्टी परीस दूरदृष्टी महत्वाची. 10 एकरामध्ये बांबू लावलाय. 5 वर्षात लाखात कमवल. करू का?
मी नाही कुठं म्हणले.
हो तर कुठं म्हणलंय?
बांबूच्या पिकातून समृद्धीला प्रोत्साहन दिलंय. आपलं सरकार, लाडकं सरकार.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है. इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी. सर, हा माझा CV.
तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
विकासाची कास घेतो. शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो. परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो. नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार. कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिलकर के गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करें.
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है.
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे? हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे. हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे. हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं.
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं है, लड़ाई विचारधारा की है.
अब कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं.
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी.
सर, हा माझा CV.
तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
विकासाची कास घेतो शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र।
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करें।
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर।
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला।
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है।
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे, हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे। हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं।
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं, लड़ाई विचारधारा की।
अब कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं।
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी।
सर, हा माझा CV। तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही।
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घेतो विकासाची कास घेतो शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र।
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करें।
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर।
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला।
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है।
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे, हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे। हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं।
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं, लड़ाई विचारधारा की।
अब कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं।
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी।
आला बघा गाव उंडगून।
हा मग काय करू, एवढं शिकलोय पण अनुभव नाही म्हणून नोकरी नाही, नोकरी नाही म्हणून अनुभव नाही।
अहो तेच तर सांगायला आलोय ना, मुख्यमंत्री युवा कार्य प्रशिक्षण योजनेमध्ये जे बी कौशल्य शिकायचं असेल त्याच्यासाठी सरकारनं दरमहा 6 ते 10 हजार रुपये स्टायपेंड ठेवलंय।
हो
वय तर करायची का पोरगी बघाय सुरुवात।
तरुणांचं नातं रोजगाराशी जोडलंय आपलं सरकार, लाडकं सरकार।
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करें।
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर।
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला।
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है।
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे, हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे। हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं।
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं, लड़ाई विचारधारा की।
अब कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं।
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी।
25 गुंठे पिकाचा विमा काढायला जर 1 रुपया लागत असेल तर 100 गुंठे पिकाचा विमा काढायला किती रुपये लागतील?
वय तर आता शासन योजनेतून 1 रुपयात पीक विमा मिळतो.
बळीराजाचं हित जपलंय आपलं सरकार, लाडकं सरकार.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करे.
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है.
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे. हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे. हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं.
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं है, लड़ाई विचारधारा की है.
कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं.
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घेतो, विकासाची कास घेतो, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घेतो, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घेतो, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घेतो विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करे.
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है.
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे. हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे. हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं.
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं है, लड़ाई विचारधारा की है.
कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं.
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी.
Excuse me. Yes. Maharashtra. Photo. Click.
दिस इज महाराष्ट्र. जागतिक दर्जाच्या सुविधांनी महाराष्ट्र राज्य 1 नंबर केलंय. आपलं सरकार, लाडकं सरकार.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिल करके गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करे.
स्लोगन, न जात पर न पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है.
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे. हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे. हम सरकार बनाने में विश्वास रखते हैं, ना किसी की बनवाने में विश्वास रखते हैं.
लड़ाई वर्चस्व की नहीं है, लड़ाई विचारधारा की है.
कोई मुद्दा नहीं, क्योंकि हम काम करके विकास के नाम पे वोट मांगते हैं।
और इस बार भी अब देखना 5 तारीख को जो मतदान होगा और 8 को जब परिणाम आएंगे, ये दोबारा एक इतिहास लिखने का काम आदमपुर की जनता करेगी।
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार मिलकर के गति को, विकास के कार्यों को और तेजी करे.
स्लोगन, ना जात पर ना पात पर मोहर लगेगी हाथ पर.
आप अगर काले कानूनों को लाने का दोबारा षड्यंत्र करेंगे तो किसान चुप नहीं बैठने वाला.
और जनता जो है वो फैसला करेगी कि आगे 5 साल के लिए उनका नेतृत्व कौन है.
कि आप किस तरफ जाएंगे, हम किसी की तरफ नहीं जाएंगे, हम अपनी सरकार बनाएंगे. हम
वहाँ मौका मिला था उस ऑपरेशन में भाग लेने का. डे और नाइट ऑपरेशन था. रात को किन कारणवश हम ऑपरेशन नहीं कर पाए. दिन के समय जब दुश्मन ने ज़्यादा भारी मात्रा में फायर खोल दिया तो हमारा कैजुअलिटी होना शुरू हो गया. तब कंपनी कमांडर साहब ने सीओ साहब जनरल जोशी साहब से बात किया और डे ऑपरेशन की परमिशन और साथ में फायर सपोर्ट, क्योंकि फायर सपोर्ट के बिना हम लोग उस एरिया में कुछ नहीं कर सकते थे. दूसरा सबसे बड़ी बात एक और थी उसमें कि प्लानिंग, स्टीक प्लानिंग, टाइमिंग, जो उस टाइम बहुत महत्वपूर्ण था. क्योंकि दुश्मन जब हाइट पे बैठा है और आप लोग नीचे से चढ़ के जा रहे हैं, 2 से 3 दिन की चढ़ाई चढ़ने के बाद आधी लड़ाई तो आपके वहाँ पे जाने का जो उसकी मौसम और वहाँ ट्रेन के साथ थी. वहाँ का मौसम और पहाड़ियाँ ऐसी थी कि आपको चलने के रास्ते नहीं, आपको रास्ते बनाने हैं. खाने के लिए आपके पास कुछ नहीं होगा, पीने के लिए पानी तक नहीं है. अगर पानी का पॉइंट अगर है भी कहीं पे तो वो दुश्मन का वही पॉइंट पानी का था जो आपका है. तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में जब लास्ट टाइम जब होता है, जब दुश्मन के ज़्यादा नज़दीक जाने के बाद, तो बिल्कुल जो लीडरशिप हमारी है, डिसीजन मेकिंग जो उनका टाइम से लेना, वो बहुत ज़रूरी था. तो मेरे कंपनी कमांडर साहब ने भी वही किया. जो वहाँ की सिचुएशन थी, जो वहाँ के हालात थे, वो सीओ साहब को बताया और सीओ साहब ने टाइमली डिसीजन दिया और हमने ऑपरेशन दिन के टाइम पे लॉन्च किया. और सबसे बड़ी बात यह कि दुश्मन हाइट में होने के बावजूद भी हम लोग वहाँ तक पहुँच पाए, वो सिर्फ फायर सपोर्ट की वजह से. और वहाँ पहुँचने के बाद हमने दिन के समय अटैक किया. जो उनकी 2 यूएमजी गनें थी जो फर्स्ट बंकर पे थी, जिनको हमने बाहर निकाला था. उसके बाद सेकंड बंकर था उसको हमने कैप्चर किया. तो इन सब तो दोनों बंकर हमने दिन के समय ही कैप्चर किया. और सेकंड बंकर के टाइम पे जाने के समय पे मुझे गोली लगी थी और मेरे 2 साथी उसमें परवीन और श्याम भी शहीद हो गए थे. तो सबसे बड़ी बात है कि हमारा जो ऑपरेशन था वो रुका नहीं, क्योंकि जो हमने प्रेशर जो दुश्मन के ऊपर बना रखा था, जो हमारी बढ़त थी, उसको हमने कंटिन्यू रखा. और जो सेकंड बंकर था 4875 का, उसको भी कैप्चर करने में कामयाबी हासिल की। दिन के समय सिर्फ सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत यही थी कि दुश्मन को हमारी पूरी हरकत दिखाई देती थी, तो हमें जो इस ग्राउंड का इस्तेमाल करके ही ऊपर तक जाना था और जाने के बाद फिर ऑपरेशन करना था। तो इसलिए दोनों ऑपरेशन में पूरा दिन लग गया, दोनों संगड़ को कैप्चर करने में। शाम को तकरीबन 5 साढ़े 5 बजे के करीब जाके ऑपरेशन ख़त्म हुआ। डॉक्टर साहब का रोल बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट, खासकर जैसे हमें गोली लग गई थी तो लगने के बाद जब डॉक्टर साहब हमारे पास 10 से 15 मिनट के बाद अगर आपके पास पहुंच जाते हैं तो आपके लिए वो लाइफ लाइन से कम नहीं थे। और जो हमारे डॉक्टर साहब जो हमारे साथ थे, राजेश अढ़ाऊ साहब, जो जवान उन तक पहुंचा था वो आज जीवित है, चाहे उसकी कंडीशन कैसी भी होगी। तो डॉक्टर साहब का रोल उस ऑपरेशन के दौरान हमने खुद देखा है। जो हम बोलते हैं कि डॉक्टर भगवान होता है, वो एक्चुअल में उस टाइम पे पता लगता है कि वो भगवान ही होते हैं। तो ज़्यादा समय न लेता हुआ मैं यहीं पे अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप सब ने मुझे यहाँ स्टेज पर बुलाने और ये सम्मान दिया। थैंक यू सर। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
अभी मैं योगेंद्र साहब से दरख्वास्त करूंगा 2 शब्द आके बोले।
जय हिंद। ये भारत माँ के बेटे और बेटियों की आवाज़ नहीं है, क्योंकि भारत माँ ने बेटे और बेटियां पैदा नहीं किए, भारत माँ ने तो सिंह और शेर पैदा किए। तो जय हिंद। बच्चों खाना नहीं मिला या बोर हो गई? ओके, मैं मंचासीन हमारे सैन्य वरिष्ठ अधिकारीगण, प्यारे देश की युवा शक्ति, आप सबको मैं नमन और प्रणाम करता हूं। आप सुबह से सुन रहे होंगे, देख रहे होंगे, तो एक बात तो एक एहसास तो हुआ होगा कि मुफ्त में यहाँ कुछ नहीं मिलता, बहुत कुछ गंवाना पड़ता है। रातों की नींद गंवानी पड़ती है, कामयाबी की मंजिल पाने के लिए मेहनत की छलांग लगानी पड़ती है, मुफ्त में कुछ नहीं मिलता। जयशंकर प्रसाद जो हमारे कवि रहे हैं, उन्होंने 2 लाइनें युवाओं के लिए बहुत अच्छी लिखी हैं। कहा है उन्होंने, वह पथ क्या पथिक कुशलता क्या, जहां पथ बिखरे सूल ना हो, उस धाविक की धैर्य परीक्षा क्या, जहां धाराएं प्रतिकूल ना हो। तो जब धाराएं प्रतिकूल होंगी तब आपकी क्षमता का, सक्षमता का आपको पता चलेगा कि धाराओं के प्रति समानांतर तो कोई भी नाव को बहा करके ले जाएगा, लेकिन उसके विपरीत अगर चलेंगे तो तब कैसे हम अपनी क्षमताओं का, सक्षमताओं का, योग्यताओं का प्रदर्शन करने का हमें मौका मिलेगा। मुझे भी तोलोलिंग और टाइगर हिल के ऊपर युद्ध लड़ने का सौभाग्य मिला और 19 साल की अवस्था में मात्र 2 साल की सर्विस और टाइगर हिल के ऊपर 21 जवानों की घातक प्लेटून में से 7 जवान हम ऊपर चढ़ पाए। 5 घंटे दुश्मन के साथ लगातार हमारा जो कॉम्बैट हैंड टू हैंड फाइट चलता रहा और ऐसी परिस्थिति एक बार आई कि एक कदम आगे रखते हैं तो हेड शूट है और एक कदम पीछे रखते हैं तो हेड शूट है। मरना सुनिश्चित हो गया था, लेकिन मैं नमन करता हूं इस देश की माओं को जो अपने बेटे और बेटियों को संस्कार स्वरूप कहती हैं, सीने का दूध पिलाया है, सीने पर गोली खाना, कभी पीठ पर गोली मत खाना। मेरे नौजवान साथियों, कभी भविष्य में किसी सैनिक का पार्थिव शरीर देखने का सौभाग्य मिल जाए तो उसके कफन तिरंगे को हटा करके देखना, उसके सीने पर गोलियों के निशान मिलेंगे। पीठ पर आपको एक भी निशान मिलने वाला नहीं है। और सेना के अंदर एक ही शब्द होता है, एडवांस, विड्रॉल नहीं है, आगे बढ़ना है। और मां भारती ने तो सिंह ने और शेर पैदा किए, डर करके और कमजोर होकर के। हमें मरना नहीं है, भागना नहीं है, बल्कि सिंह ने और शेर की तरह लड़ करके, मार करके और तब मरना होगा। 5 घंटे तक लड़ते लड़ते वो दृश्य, वो परिदृश्य भी आए जो आज तक सिर्फ आपने फिल्मों में देखा होगा कि गर्दनें कटती हैं और धड़ चलते हैं। मैंने उन पलों को देखा नहीं, जिया भी है। एक साथी को सर में गोली लगते हुए देखा, उसका सर निकलते हुए बाहर देखा था। एक मेरी बगल में बैठा मेरा ट्रेनिंग का साथी, उसको सीने में गोलियां लगती हैं, पूरे फेफड़ों से खून की फुहारें निकल जाती हैं। एक साथी हेल्प के लिए आगे आता है, उसकी वहां पर एक आर्टिलरी का बम गिरता है, उसकी गर्दन कट जाती है। एक और साथी आगे बढ़ता है, उसके हाथ पैर दोनों कट जाते हैं। अकेला जख्मी अवस्था में अपने साथियों की बॉडियों के बीच पड़ा हुआ था, लेकिन हिम्मत नहीं हारी थी, हताश और निराश नहीं हुआ था, विश्वास और साहस के साथ भरा हुआ था। वो सब कुछ फौज की ट्रेनिंग, आपकी लीडरशिप, और फिर जो एक सबसे बड़ी चीज जो अभी मैं आज दिन में बच्चों से बात कर रहा था कि आपका एकेडमिक से आईक्यू बढ़ जाएगा, लेकिन ईक्यू नहीं बढ़ेगा। और ईक्यू आईक्यू से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस होता है। जो हमारी फौज जब कोई भी काम करने के लिए चलती है तो उस ईश्वर अल्लाह वाहेगुरु का हम उसका नाम लेकर के चलते हैं। स्पिरिचुअलिटी हमारे अंदर होती है, स्पिरिचुअलिटी हमारी ईक्यू को बढ़ाती है। तो उसी स्पिरिचुअलिटी के आधार के ऊपर लड़ता रहा और आखिर में वहां पर दुश्मनों को भगाने में कामयाब हुआ। और आखिरकार वहां से जब नीचे आया, अपने साथियों को इन्फॉर्म किया और उसी इंफॉर्मेशन के आधार के ऊपर उस टाइगर हिल टॉप के ऊपर हमला किया गया और बिना किसी कैजुअलिटी के टॉप के ऊपर कब्जा कर लिया। टाइगर हिल की जीत कारगिल युद्ध का यू टर्न था। सीजफायर हुआ और आज हम 26 जुलाई को कारगिल विजय दिवस के रूप में मनाते हैं। मुझे इस वर्ष, जो कि कारगिल की स्वर्णिम जीत का रजत जयंती वर्ष है, उन 300 प्लस फैमिलीज से मिलने का सौभाग्य मिला, जिन्होंने अपने बेटों को, जिन्होंने अपने पतियों को और उन बेटियों से, उन बेटों से जिन्होंने अपने पिता को इस राष्ट्र पर कुर्बान किया। बच्चों, हमारा फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, बायोलॉजी, यही हमारा जीवन का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम्स है। अरे ये कुछ भी नहीं है। जीवन के प्रॉब्लम्स तो अभी आगे शुरू होंगे। और जब कभी आपको लगे कि मैं हताश और निराश हो रहा हूं, मेरी बहुत बड़ी समस्या हो गई है। आपके गांव, शहर, प्रदेश, देश के अंदर बहुत सारे ऐसी वीरांगनाएं रह रही होंगी, उनके चरणों को जाकर के छू लेना, आपकी समस्या का पल भर के अंदर समाधान हो जाएगा। उससे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो सकती है। देश के लिए 26 जुलाई कारगिल का युद्ध बंद हो गया था, लेकिन उन वीरांगनाओं के लिए वो जीवन का युद्ध शुरू हुआ। किसी के पेट में 2 महीने का गर्भ था तो किसी का 1 साल का बच्चा था। 25 साल उन्होंने जीवन का युद्ध लड़ा और आज हमारे लिए, हमारे देश के लिए वो वीरांगनाएं, वो वीर माताएं साहस की, आस की, विश्वास की प्रतिमूर्ति के रूप में। तो मैं आप सबसे बस इतना ही कहूंगा, जीवन संघर्षों का नाम है और संघर्ष, जितने बड़े संघर्ष होंगे उतनी बड़ी सफलता होगी। और जब जीवन में सफलताओं के लिए कमिटमेंट करना पड़ेगा, अपने आप से कमिटमेंट करना पड़ेगा। जब आप अपने आप से कमिटमेंट करेंगे, अपने आप में आत्मविश्वास से भरते हुए चले जाएंगे और यही आत्मविश्वास आपको जीवन में विजय दिलाएगा और आपको इस राष्ट्र के प्रति आपको जोड़ेगा भी। इतना ही कहते हुए मैं पुनः तमाम जो हमारे वरिष्ठ सैन्य अधिकारी हैं उनको प्रणाम करता हूं, उनको जय हिंद कहता हूं और बच्चों आपको भी नमन करता, सिर्फ 2 लाइन कहता हूं। हमने सुना होगा ये सांस ही जीवन है, जीवन ही सांस है। 1 मिनट में कितनी बार सांस लेते बच्चों? हाँ 72 हार्ट बीट है, वो दिल की धड़कन है। हमें अपने आप से भी जुड़ना पड़ेगा। 15 से 17 बार सांस लेते हैं हम 1 मिनट के अंदर, जब हमारी औसतन आयु 65 से 70 वर्ष है। तो ये सांसों के तराने हिंद का नवगान गाएगा हमारा शौर्य ध्वज लेकर। किसका? इस भारत के युवाओं का। पूरी दुनिया कहती है भारत युवाओं का राष्ट्र है। सच में भारत युवाओं का राष्ट्र है। 65% भारत में युवा है। लेकिन दुर्भाग्य ये भी है इस 65 में से 80% को ये पता नहीं है सूरज कितने बजे निकलता है। मालूम है? नहीं मालूम। जिसका सुबह स्कूल होता है उसको मालूम है, और नहीं तो मुझे मालूम है कि आप 2:30 बजे तक कोई पढ़ता है तो कोई 2:30 बजे तक ये दिन में जो रील बनती है इंस्टाग्राम पे जाती है इसकी लाइक चेक करते हैं। इसीलिए हम सुबह नहीं उठ पाते। सुबह नहीं उठ पाते हैं तो जीवन में पॉजिटिविटी नहीं होती है। और फौज हमेशा हर काम को करने के लिए क्यों तैयार होती है? क्योंकि वो सुबह 4 बजे उठ जाती है, उस पॉजिटिव एनर्जियों के साथ टकराती है। हमेशा उसका एटीट्यूड, उसका बिहेवियर पॉजिटिविटी होता, हर काम को करने में सक्षम होती है। तो तभी कह रहा हूं कि ये सांसों के तराने हिंद का नवगान गाएगा हमारा शौर्य ध्वज लेकर। वो चंद्रयान गाएगा, हमारे प्राण माता भारती के पग समर्पित हैं। हमारे लहू का हर कतरा हिंदुस्तान गाएगा, हिंदुस्तान गाएगा। जय हिंद, जय भारत। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
अच्छा, now may I request Brigadier Dvinder, you will take it on? अच्छा, General Lakhvinder, if you can take on the RT aspects and basically touch upon what were the momentous occasions that you had during the Kargil operations, and secondly, why you known as the enraged bull of Dras?
Please look at the screen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you had a very invigorating speech by Yogendra Yadav. I brought your mind back to artillery and what made that possible. He did mention that without fire support, this could not have been possible. He was wrong. It was not fire support, it was fire power which made it possible. A support can't take you there. It was the will of the artillery and the power of the shell which took you there. So Kargil was a great war. We've won a great war. And in that winning of great war, artillery stood out tall, rather tall. Set a high mark not only for the Indian army, but also foreign armies. They copied it, they followed it, and till today they talk about it. Kargil was a story of the brave men of the infantry, the officers, and the artillery, both in equal proportion. What Ratchangappa said when he saw the war, after the war he came here, he said, behind the heroism of artillery lay the prowess of artillery. Otherwise, it was not possible. And I want to take you back in history. I want to take you back to 1854, cusp of 17th century, 18th century, when King Louis XIV was the king of France, a great architect, a great builder, also a great warrior. On the guns, he had got inscribed, Ultimo Ratio Regum. It's an Italian word, and it's inscribed on the guns. It meant the last word of the king, the final argument of the king. And 150 years later, Stalin, 1944, he said, artillery is god of war. And in Kargil, we proved it more than that. The Kargil War was won because of the heroics of the infantry and the power of artillery. When we reached Kargil on the 1st of June, the conditions were quite gloomy. As Amar Raj said, he was a commander there. Before that, I was in Srinagar, and the 56th Brigade had launched a major attack on 3 features, a battalion each. That attack was not successful. But for one location, which was Toroling. Toroling was close to road. 18 grenadiers attacking at Toroling were just able to get a foothold and nothing beyond that. Sometime around 24th of May, I was in the Corps headquarters with Jan Sehota, the Chief of Staff, 15 Corps. The Chief of Staff is 2IC of like 2IC of a formation. He called me to his office and told me, Lakhvinda, what are you doing? What is artillery doing there? You can't do nothing better? I looked at him. I said, sir, give me 4 Beaufort regiments, send me there. I'll make a change. He looked at me. I said nothing. I walked out. Providentially, this was to happen. So when Amar Rao had taken the brigade there were just about 6 batteries there. And that's all that he had. 36 guns to launch 3 battalion lag was not sufficient quality or quantity. And by the time we reached there, we had about 100 guns to us. Now we had a good number of guns. How to make use of this? So I did speak to you about Toroling, where 18 grenadiers had stayed put there, and they creeped on. They creeped on until they were about 300 to 500 meters away from the enemy. Toroling Heights, the Barbad bunker. The 2 valiant officers of the battalion, Rajesh Adhikari, Major Rajesh Adhikari, and Lieutenant Vishwanathan. The CEO was smitten by his lack of success, so he sent these 2 officers to attack those features. The brave boys went there, they mowed down. They could not cover the last 300 meters to catch up with the enemy. So when we reached there, this was a point of major concern to us as a gunner, an artilleryman. If they could not cover the 300 meters of gap, how would they climb up to 5,000 feet, cover 5 kilometers atop the hills where enemy was sitting very strong with the machine guns, and nothing could move in those areas without his observation. So we realized that we went back to history. As somebody was saying, history is important. That if we don't do something special, out of the way, our battalions will meet the same story as what the young, brave officers of 80 Grenadiers had done. It reminded me of an operation of 1854 in Crimea. of Battle of Balaklava. In the battle, there were 670 soldiers, horse riders, who were forced to attack a well-prepared Russian position. To the assault, they attacked. And by they finished them, there were 270 casualties in men and 370 casualties in horses. It was a battle, the most heroic battle, but most futile battle. It produced no results. So I knew if we don't do something special, then we will have a same problem with our infantry battalions, casualties. We thought we had to think out of the box. I want to take away this lesson for all the young people, the future of this country. If you don't think out of the box at difficult times, you cannot fight a war. We again went back to history. We realized that if at the time of Babur, we had used artillery for the first time in the Battle of Panipat and beaten Lodi with a much greater army, because he used 21 cannons to fire at them directly at the face. And Maharaja Ranjit Singh did the same thing later in Punjab.
So one more minute, we are short of time.
Sorry?
1 more minute, we are short of time.
I'm sorry, I have to stop it. So gentlemen, I will try and sum it up because there's so much to talk about it. In Kargil, artillery had a lot of time, given all the time. But when you come to talking about it, you have given 1 minute. Anyway, so we went back in history and we said if those cannons could fire in so accurately, then why not the Bofors guns? And therefore, we took 2 Bofors and 2 field guns for trial and long distance direct firing. We put them thoroughly, put the best layer there. Now what is direct firing? Direct firing is when you can see the target and the gunner is seeing it. In most cases, artillery fires over the horizon at long distances. They cannot see the target. It is seen by an observer who guides the missiles or the ammunition or the firepower onto the target. In this case, we put them 4 kilometers away, put one chap called Darshan, who looked like a carpenter, but his hand was as sturdy as a surgeon, which was a Barbad bunker, which was a major cause of problem for 18 grenadiers. He aimed at it with prayers on lips. We fired the first shot, fell next to Barbad bunker, and next 3 shots all launched the firing there. And we heard the Pakistanis say, in the intercepts, and all was there. By the way, he became a keen admirer of that firing, and he was present for the experiment. And they said, "Hame bachao, yahan par कहर बरस रहा hai. Save us. The hell is falling on us." So then we decided, before we could try the field guns, the enemy artillery started firing on us. We pulled out and started on concept. Very simple. We said we'll fire 100 more guns to throw TNT equivalent to 1 mini nuke. So the enemy is totally pulverized. Nashta nabood kar dena usko. Finish him off. So infantry could just walk up there. And they also used direct firing Bofors and multi-barrel rocket launchers to increase the cause of this effect. Now I don't know if you know what a one mini nuke is. It's 0.1 kiloton. It's equal to 100,000 kgs. When the 100 guns fired, if one round average 30 kgs, at one time we fired 3,000 kg on the objective. And we fired 30 times, it was 1 mini nuke being fired. The heat produced by this was so much, the temperature of the tolling rose by a few degrees, and by next day, was shot up by 2 inches. Now, this is when the attack was launched by two Rajput on tolling. By 13, they captured the tolling feature. What seemed impossible was made possible. And what happened in the morning? When the attacker, whose casualty should be at least 3 to 4 times, 5 times more than the defender suffered 22 casualties, the battalion suffered 10 casualties. The casualty ratio got reversed. That was the magic of this. Our concept was validated, it was proven, and we were able to go along this. Since the time is short, I'll give you 2 more incidents which are important. Young man, then Lieutenant Colonel Joshi is sitting here, and Amarall. they were supposed to attack point 5140, the highest feature in Daras. And before that point, there was a place called Rocky area. It was a impediment for attack on this point 5140. So in their wisdom, they decided to launch a daylight attack. In the altitude areas where even the angels fear to tread at night under the fire of enemy fire, these people thought of an unimaginable thing and a very bold step. And Amaro rang me up. He wanted some direct firing guns, Bofors. I managed them. They were sent there. And Joshi told you the direct firing went and destroyed those things. The first daylight attack of the Kargil was thus successful. He set a very high mark for the other battalions to do that. And when they reached point 5140, it was totally destroyed. They went and occupied it, and that was a great success. Let me talk about two more things. The next feature was Morpola Ridge. Now, Morpola Ridge has two spurs going like this. One was tackled by 2 Raj Rif, the second by 18 Gadwals. The names have no meaning for you, but I'm just telling you. So when a battalion going along one spur, 2 Raj Rif, the leading company, when they reached the 3 Knoll area, there was a feature called 3 Knoll. There were 3 machine guns there.
What do I tell him?
One after another.
He's not finishing on.
The battalion was able to clear 2 machine gun positions. The third held on there. Major Acharya, the company commander, and Vijayan Thapar, the company 2IC. They tried to 2 different directions to tackle the machine gun. They could not. It was night, 12 o'clock. They sent a radio message to me, please fire light firing Bofors. Now you cannot see the target, you cannot do that, but we had thought about this and devised the mean of firing at night. It was called direct indirect firing. The gesture there, he was told to clear off the bunker, the bunker, to give some leeway. We put a best man on the layer. We applied the data known to us. We fired the first round landing next to a bunker. The next round destroyed it. So a thin line between success and failure was transgressed by artillery.
So can we...
One more minute. And then of course, came point 4700. It was to be tackled by 18 Garhwal rifles. And they captured 2 points, 2 shoulders of feature, 4700 and Tommy. But in the saddle, there was a machine gun position. They were creating merry hell for them. Again, this step, the CO called me up. The brigade commander called me up. We had put light firing guns on that. They fired on them, and as per what the CO says, he says, Vamoosh came the RT, and the enemy disappeared. And Bulldozer captured it. Now, there are many incidents like this I can tell you, and do you know what Shiva Rule had to say? No single piece of equipment or weapon can turn the table in war. But it was one to become a game changer, it was Bofors. They changed the game in Kargil. Now don't take me amiss, not only Bofors won the war, there were 100 other guns firing too. They were able to fire so much ammunition. And I'll cut to other things, in Kargil we fired 280,000 rounds. We fired 1 round per battery for per minute for 17 days continuously. Where the infantry battalion brigades had time to rest and relief, the gunner was 24/7 on call. Lack of sleep, tired, with blisters in the hand, they carried on firing relentlessly, and they never let the infantry down. Whenever infantry was in trouble, they called for Bofors. General Mohinder Puri said, infantry started taking Bofors as a section weapon. They would use it so. So we're very happy to see that the infantry and artillery had merged as soul and body. They were inseparable. So while the Pakis feared it the most, the Indian infantry came to respect it the most. It was a pleasure to see infantry after coming as sojourn or victory sojourn, they would come to gun areas and salute them. What did General Krishnapal say? He said, the artillery had caused so much damage on target, their attacks were predestined to succeed. There was no way they could not succeed. And Captain P. Marcus of US Navy, he wrote,
Sir, we've overshot.
In his thesis, 1 minute. In his thesis, he wrote the 130 Beauforts, most of them came under the charge of one of the most innovative leaders of the Indian Army, Brigadier Lakhvinder Singh. If not for artillery, the infantry would never reach there. And the tallest compliment came to us from Pakistan Chief Army Staff. When our ex-High Commissioner went to meet him in a party, he said, the way artillery was used, we were forced to vacate the heights, but we never left those heights. So with this, I think I'll bring an end to it because there's a time shortage. There's so much more to do. Artillery came of age as a combat arm. It's not a fire support, it's a fire power, which changed the battle. And now in Ukraine, what is happening? When everything else has failed, it's the artillery battles going on. The high-end autonomous batteries are firing on that, and they are doing a great job of it. So future of the cutting edge of the army, armed force is going to be artillery, firepower. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Lakhvinder, for giving us so much of insight as far as firepower, which was required in the Kargil operations with the infantry. And it played quite a major role as far as our successes that we achieved in Tololing, 5140, Tiger Hill, and elsewhere in other various objectives. Now, due to shortage of time, we've covered the most of the things except Batalic sector, which we'll do it in the next session. But I'll invite any question answers that we have now. Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Please give your name and school. Somebody give him the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Adhar Agarwal. I'm from the Welham Boys School, and my question to you is that in 1999, when the Pakistani troops entered Jammu and Kashmir by passing the LOC, what was the flaw in the Indian intelligence system which actually caused this, according to you?
Yeah, so, in any war, the first casualty is intelligence. That you must always remember. But yeah, definitely this time the intelligence did fail us because the kind of infiltration that had happened all across, the Pakistani soldiers had infiltrated across a large number of areas and came and occupied, these heights which are dominating the National Highway 1 Alpha. So while the situation that time was not so good, but presently the situation has changed completely and now our intelligence is much, much better.
Hello, good afternoon, dignitaries. I am Pema Doji Bhatia from Darshan Academy, Gangtok, Sikkim. My question is to Sir Joshi. Sir, in the initial moments when you were made the commander of your battalion after the previous commander was ill, sir, how did you cope up with the immense responsibility, as you mentioned, the amount of dead bodies that was around you with the battle going on? So, what was your mental setup like during those initial moments, and how did you cope up with it?
A very good question, which General Joshi will give you an answer.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. That's a good question. It was a big challenge. Right in the middle of a war, you're promoted and given command of a battalion. And now, like I said, that, I had to start planning. As a second in command, in the army, you're more of a, if I may use the word messenger, advising the commanding officer while the buck stops at him. He takes the decisions and, everything gets fired from his shoulder. But now I was given the command and made the commanding officer. Huge challenge in war. But I had an advantage. And the advantage I had was that I was born and brought up in 13 Jagrif. So throughout those 20 years of career, till the Kargil War happened, I was in 13 Jagrif. So I knew about 80% of the soldiers of the battalion by name. I knew, their capabilities. And they knew me and they knew my capabilities. So the trust factor in a team makes a lot of difference in battle. So that is one of the biggest lessons, that came about, which I want to tell all the children here, is that you have to build up a team to succeed. nobody is perfect at everything. So therefore, you have to surround yourself with people, who can do things that you can't do. That is very, very important. And the second factor is the two-way trust. The trust of the team on the leader, because they know my capabilities. They know that if I'm ordering them to do something, it is a well thought out plan. And I know the capabilities, therefore I'm able to employ a JCO or a soldier or a Jawan or a MG detachment, NCO, where I know that he's a guy who's going to deliver. So that made all the difference for me. Thank you.
Thank you, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We end this session here because we're running short of time. We've had another 2 additional speakers, and that's why we've overshot our time. And anybody's got any other questions subsequently, we'll do it in the second session. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs, for this.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड.
इथल्या तरुणांच्या हाताला काय वेगळंच काम लागले. सगळ्यांच्या हातात मोबाईल्स आहेत.
सगळ्यांच्या हाताला सरकारच्या कृपेने काम लागले. हो, ऑनलाईन नोंदणी करतायत ते. 12वी पास 8,000 रुपये, ITI डिप्लोमा झालेल्यांना 9,000 रुपये, पदवी झालेल्यांना चक्क 10,000 रुपये स्टायपेंड मिळणार आणि प्रशिक्षण सुद्धा.
युवा कार्य प्रशिक्षण योजनेतून कौशल्य प्रशिक्षण मिळत आहे. आपलं सरकार लाडकं सरकार.
पॉलिसी बाजार करा जिदुषा होके नो हिताकुशी. समझ में आया? मैंने कितनी बार हिंदी में समझाया कि पॉलिसी बाजार से कंपेयर करके कार इंश्योरेंस पे 8,000 रुपए तक बचा सकते हो, पर कुछ लोगों को अभी तक समझ नहीं आया, तो मैंने सोचा जापानी में समझा देता हूँ. सायोनारा.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सबको मजेदार बने.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं. बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ.
MDH. लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की सरकार.
क्लेम में कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होगी ना?
डोंट वरी सर, कार रिपेयर से लेकर क्लेम सेटलमेंट तक पॉलिसी बाजार हमेशा आपके साथ होता है.
पॉलिसी बाजार पे कार इंश्योरेंस कंपेयर करके 8,000 रुपए तक बचाओ.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज NewsX का मीडिया स्कूल. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है. इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर. ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त, मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
बढ़िया है. प्राकृतिक हल्दी, मिर्ची, धनिया.
नहीं, मिर्ची, धनिया, हल्दी, MDH.
मसाले सच MDH.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर, आप बहुत लकी हैं कि आपके बेटे ने हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस और बाकी सारी फॉर्मेलिटीज टाइम से पूरी कर दी है.
मेरा बेटा?
तो फिर आप?
पॉलिसी बाजार.
क्लेम के टाइम पे हमेशा आपकी हेल्प को तैयार. पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 390 रुपए महीने से शुरू.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
अब आया असली स्वाद.
अब आया स्वाद.
जब स्वाद के पड़े हो लाले तो MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला डालें. MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला.
MDH.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर. MDH गरम मसाला, असली मसालों से भरा हूँ मैं,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा. लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू विकासाची कास घे तू शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
MDH की देगी मिर्च, देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का. MDH की देगी मिर्च.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू विकासाची कास घे तू शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला. पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला.
अरे ऋषि आज स्कूल नहीं गए?
3 महीने से फीस नहीं भर पाई तो निकाल दिया स्कूल ने.
कहीं आपके बाद आपके बच्चों के सपने न टूट जाएं. आज ही लीजिए पॉलिसी बाजार पे 2 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 690 रुपए महीने से शुरू.
मम्मा मम्मा तुला माहितीये वास्को द गामा मसाल्यांच्या शोधात भारतात आला होता.
मसाल्यांच्या शोधात? अरे हो, त्याच्याकडे उमेद मार्ट ऍप नसेल ना म्हणून. म्हणजे आता मसाले, पापड, लोणची, अगरबत्ती, तूप या सगळ्या गोष्टी उमेद मार्ट ऍप वर विकत मिळतात.
ओ वास्को द गामा पेक्षा हुशार माझी मम्मा.
बचत गटांच्या वस्तू विक्रीला ऑनलाईन मार्केट दिले. आपलं सरकार, लाडकं सरकार.
After that very inspiring talk by the chief guest, the former naval chief, Admiral Arun Prakash, and that 10-minute long documentary, we now move on to the first panel discussion, which is on overview and geography. Now, as we all very well understand, that Kargil came as a big surprise to us, to each one of us in the military, within the intelligence community, and also to the politicians and the citizens at large. Now, the Kargil intrusions, if you look back at the extent and scope of those intrusions, they spread over about 100 kilometers along that frontier. The intrusions took place in 5 major pockets, starting from Mashko to Dras, to Kaksar, to Batalik, and further on to Totok. At places, the intrusions were as deep as about 8 to 10 kilometers. The Pakistanis claimed that they had put close to about 5,000 men, that is equivalent of about 5 battalions, into those intrusions that had taken all over. Now, an intrusion of that scale and scope raises a large number of questions. Questions on intelligence and surveillance of the Indian Army at that point of time. Questions on the operational posture of the Indian Army at that point of time. And I would also say a set of questions for the leadership at that point of time. But what is more important is that that was a time when India was running into a peace dialogue. So that was also the time when India was running into a peace dialogue with Pakistan. The bus yatra to Lahore had just taken place, which was followed by the Lahore Declaration. And from the Lahore Declaration, a large number of track dialogues were taking place. So the question is, why did Pakistan indulge in Kargil intrusions? That's a larger question. Why did they do that? Did they ever take the approval of the political leadership? And at a later stage, why they started reluctantly accepting that they had intruded into these areas? To answer some of these big questions, I have two discussants here. That's General Puri, who was just introduced, and General Ravin Khosla. What I must also tell you, beyond the bios that were read out, that both of them commanded the 8th Mountain Division 20 years apart. General Puri commanded the division during the Kargil operations, and Ravin commanded it, I think, in 2016 or 2017, around that time. Okay, 9. Also, they both happen to be from the Gorkhas. They both retired as deputy chiefs. And, of course, he's a Welhamite as well. Okay, so a round of applause for him as well. Now we'll run this panel. We do this in 3 parts. I'll first request Ravin to give an overview of the terrain. Once he's done that, then I would engage General Puri to a set of larger questions on the broader strategic context of that time. I would say a year preceding that, that is 1998. And then what were the Pak motivations to undertake those operations? And what are the operational challenges that he faced as the architect of Kargil victory, if I might say. So over to Ravin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, my good friends, the students who are here from, I'm told, 29 schools, which is really, really great, and the esteemed faculty members, the teachers who have accompanied the children, and of course the faculty of the Welham Boys. As General Harinder just sneaked out, yes, I'm a very proud alum of the Welham Boys, and I'm very happy to be here this morning interacting with the boys and girls of the Welham Boys, of course, and the large number of schools who are here. It's indeed a matter of great pleasure for me. You are the brightest and the best, and the future, the destiny of the country is in your hands. I've been given the subject of setting a geographical context to the Kargil War, which I will do in about 10 to 12 minutes. I have certain maps and photographs, which I shall play for you. But before I do that, I just want to make a statement that geography is very powerful. Geography is something which has dictated the manner in which the continents have been formed, the nation states have been formed, the manner in which The mountain ranges are arid, the river systems have flowed, the floodplains where the civilizations have grown up, whether it was the Indus civilization, the Mohenjo-daro, the Harappa, or the civilization along the Nile river valley. The manner in which tribes have migrated and settled and nation states have come up. This is all part of geography. And some of you who are academically inclined or fond of reading, I can recommend two books to you, both by the same author, Tim Marshall. The first book is Prisoners of Geography, and the second is Power of Geography. At least some of the staff members, I'm sure, could pick up these books and probably share some of the important facets in the chapters that have been covered. Okay, with that little broad overview, I come straight away into the subject. And like we like to do in the army, we like to take what we call a helicopter view. We'll take a broad overview of how, the whole thing has evolved. And I think there's no better place to start Okay, yeah, we're ops. So the first thing in front of you is a physical map which indicates the Pamir Knot, which is in today Tajikistan. Why is it important? Because 5 of the most important mountain ranges emanate from the Pamir Knot. It's also called the roof of the world. Some of you may have heard Tibet is also called the roof of the world, but Pamir Knot, actually this area is contiguous, and you have actually the highest mountain peaks in the world are in this region. You have the Mount Everest, you have the K2, you have the Nanga Parbat. All the highest mountain peaks are in this region. To the north, you have the Tian Shan, you have the Kunlun, you have the Karakoram, you have the Himalayas, and you have the Hindu Kush. The area of interest for us for today's discussion is the area which lies between the Karakoram and the Greater Himalayas. Now we move on to a political map. You can see the contours of the state of J&K. And again, you can see very clearly the Karakoram, the Greater Himalayas. Between these lie a number of other mountain ranges which are also significant but considerably smaller, but on the ground they are very, very formidable. I can assure you. You have the Ladakh range, you also have the Zanskar. South of the Greater Himalayas, you have the Pir Panjal, and then you have the Shivalik ranges. I now bring you into the area of Ladakh. I will guide you through this area through a road move. We will start with the area of Jammu, which is here. You go by the national highway and you go up across the Pir Panjal mountain ranges. Those of you who have traveled by road, you cross in the area of the Banihal Pass. Across the Banihal, of course, is the lovely Kashmir Valley. You go north of the Kashmir Valley, you cross the Greater Himalayas, you cross in the area of Zojila Pass. The Zojila Pass is covered by snow for about 5 to 6 months in a year. And therefore there are distinct populations which have emerged because of this diversity. You have the Kashmiris who are settled in the Kashmir Valley and the Ladakhis in the area of Ladakh. Very distinct cultures have emerged in the two regions. The national highway thereafter goes down and goes to the area of Leh. You must realize in 1999 when the Kargil War happened, this was the only axis, this was the only way in which you could actually get to the Ladakh Valley and get your rations, your supplies, your FOL, etc. including movement of troops into the area of Leh. The other axis, I'll also show that to you. That is the one which starts from Himachal, goes through Manali. You would have all have heard of the Rohtang Pass, the very famous Rohtang Tunnel. This was at that time still under construction, and it could not take any sustained traffic. And therefore the significance of the national highway must be understood in this context. The great power of geography, as I told you, the areas west of the greater Himalayas is absolutely lush green. I'm sure you've eaten apples from Kashmir, you've had walnuts from Kashmir. But the moment you cross the greater Himalayas, on the other side, in the area of Dras, it is totally barren. I will show you certain photographs hereafter. The area is barren, and it has implications on military operations, as we shall see. So these ridge lines or these ranges create their own ecosystems, as we must understand them. The other very important feature in this map that I want you to understand is the Saltoro ridgeline. You have the Siachen Glacier on this. The Siachen Glacier is an occupation of the Indian Armed Forces since 1984 and has always been a sore thumb for the Pakistanis. And one of the reasons for this Kargil intrusion could have been triggered by this particular area that is held with us very strongly, very firmly, the area of the Siachen Glacier. Another very important feature of this area is the Indus River. It rises in the east in the Kailash Mountains, somewhere in this area. It traverses through the entire Ladakh. It goes through Nimu, Leh, goes to the area of Biama, Batalik. Then it crosses over into the POK, Pakistani held Kashmir, flows in a northwesterly direction before turning south. The Indus River system is one of the largest. It's the 6th largest river system in the world. It feeds the entire Pakistan. It drains down into the south, into the Indian Ocean. It's a very important river system for the Pakistanis, but you must understand it rises in the area of Ladakh. It flows through Ladakh. And there's an Indus Valley Treaty, Indus River Treaty, which we have which we've been honoring all this along. But that option is always there of this treaty being revoked. The river system is very, very important to Pakistan. Okay, now we get closer to the area of operations, and we come into this area which is really where the operations took place. The ranges to see in this area, again starting from the west, this is the greater Himalayas. On this is the Zojila Pass. You have the national highway which enters through here. The important ranges here are the greater Himalayas. You've got the Ladakh range. You've got the Zanskar range. The important river systems, there are primarily two. One is the Shingo River, which flows from a west to east direction. It enters the Indian territory in the area of Kaksar. Thereafter, it flows for about 30 odd kilometers. It is joined by two more rivers, the Suru River and the Wakharong, before it flows back into the POK. The other important river system is the Indus, which I told you about. It rises in the east in the Kailash Mountains. It flows through the entire Ladakh region. And it finally comes to the area of Batalik before it flows into what is now POK. One very important feature in this map which I want to explain to you is not a physical feature, but it is this purple line that you must be wondering what it is. So my friends, this is called the LC, the line of control. Normally between countries you have something called an international border, which is clearly demarcated. You have boundary pillars which are geotagged. The international border runs between these boundary pillars. Whereas in this area of Jammu and Kashmir, in 1947 there was raiders and the Pakistanis had tried to capture this area. The Indian Army had managed to push them back. Could actually throw them on from the entire J&K. Unfortunately, in 1948, there was a ceasefire which was declared. And because of the ceasefire in 1948, we now hold the area which is depicted by this line of control. We hold the area which is to the south of it, and the area north of it is held by the Pakistanis. So it's a quirk of fate that in 48, because of the ceasefire, the entire area could not be recaptured. As far as the roads are concerned, we get back to the National Highway 1, which enters Ladakh in the area of Zojila. It goes through this entire area, it goes to Kargil, then goes south and it goes towards the area of Leh. What you must see very closely is the proximity of this national highway to this purple line or the line of control. And it is closest is in the area of Dras. It is only 9.7 kilometers from the line of control. It is actually within range of the weapon systems. But in 1999, General Musharraf got greedy and he thought he could just transgress this territory, come across the line of control and come and sit astride the road axis. That's the national highway. That was the ultimate aim. And he would be able to choke off the entire Indian Army which was deployed and also the population of Ladakh which is in this region. There is also another road which starts from Kargil, which links up to Batalik. There's a pass here called the Hemotingla Pass. But this Hemotingla Pass is under observation of the Pakistanis, and any movement we do across it, they're able to actually note down the number of vehicles which cross. Therefore, it has its own disadvantages. This road axis thereafter moves along the Indus River and goes and joins the national highway a little ahead in a place called Khalsi. So these are the important roads in this area. The area of operation, as has been briefly mentioned earlier, is divided basically into 4 areas. You have the Mashko Dras area, you have the Kargil, you have Batalik, and you have the Turtuk Siachen area. In the next couple of slides, I'll show you certain photographs. Some of you will be able to relate to these photographs, which are very famous, like the Tiger Hill, etc. And some of you may not have seen them. It'll be a good education. So this is a photograph which has been taken from the south of the Dras town. As you can see, this is the Dras town. This is the Dras river. And these are the heights in front of you where the bulk of the operations of Kargil were fought. The very famous conical peak in the center is the Tiger Hill. To the west is the Batra top, where Captain Batra gave his life to recapture this territory. It is named after him as the Batra top. Also, this feature of Tololing has been mentioned. I'm sure you've heard of Tololing. This again is a very significant feature, as a very important battle was fought here. In the course of the next day and a half, you will be made familiar with all these battles which have been conducted in these areas. So you could just remember some of these areas like Three Pimple, 4700 and the area of 5140. These are certain closer photographs. You could kind of associate with them as you, by and by, you are told about these in your interaction with the resource people. You know, as you can see very clearly, something that I told you a little earlier, the stark contrast in the geography on the west of the Himalayas and the east of the Himalayas. These mountains, as you can see, are totally barren. There is not a speck of grass which grows in these areas. They're absolutely barren. There is, you can see actually for kilometers you can see. There is no place you can really hide from the enemy, if I may use the word. This is the area of Kargil. There was really one significant area where they came in, that is indicated by the Bajrang Glacier, and this again will be explained to you as you interact with the resource persons. Then you come into the area of Batalik, where again the intrusions were fairly significant. The intrusions happened along the Jubar, the Kukarthang, Kalubar and point 5203. As you can see, they are largely along the ridge lines. You know, this is the Jubar, this is the Kukarthang, this is the Kalubar, with the idea being that these ridge lines overlook the Indus River. And that road that I explained to you, which goes from Kargil over Hematingla and goes down into Batalik and then onwards towards Khalsi, runs all along this Indus River. So if they were to be sitting on these heights, as they had planned to, they would have prevented any movement along any of these roads. You know, no troops could have moved up along this road. So the idea again in this area was very clear: dominate the road axis, choke the Indian army, and subsequently carry out further operations. Just as an aside, since it's been explained, I've commanded in this area. There's a place called Chor Batla. It's very interesting because historically, this was the route which, the thieves, the chors used to use when they used to go north, raiding into the area of Gilgit and Skadu, which is across these mountain ranges. And on their way back, they would come back into the area of Ladakh through this particular pass. Allah means a pass. So Chor Batla was used extensively by these robbers or thieves or brigands. And therefore this name, but this name has stayed on. It is still called Chor Batla. And of course the fourth area is this area which is adjoining the Siachen Glacier, also called the subsector Hanif. More of it in your interaction with the resource persons. As far as the strategic importance is concerned, I'm sure you are, by now it would have dawned on you that National Highway 1 was very, very important and critical to us to be able to sustain not only our troops but the civilian population living in Ladakh. And therefore, the dominating heights overlooking the national highway became very, very important for us to recapture. Certain peculiarities of terrain, the hill features, etc. How is it that, what are the important derivatives from this? What is it, how does it, help a soldier? What is it that you must look at when you see a particular feature? What is it that some ideas must come to your mind as to what is it that it does for you or it goes against you? Okay, the first is that you must understand that, this battle was fought at these heights, which is ranging from about 17 to 19,000 feet. 19,000 feet is the kind of height where normally civilians plan their mountaineering expeditions. They plan expeditions at 17, 18, 19,000 feet. They plan for months and then they prepare, they acclimatize and then they go and do these expeditions. These are the heights, these are the altitudes where people were actually rushing, they were running up the heights and capturing features. The degree of difficulty is something that you can just try and imagine and comprehend. The atmosphere at these heights is rarefied. That means the oxygen content is actually less or low. And the fact that there is no vegetation here aggravates the situation. In regions like Kashmir Valley, at the same altitude, because you have a lot of trees and you have a lot of vegetation, the oxygen content is much better. In Ladakh, the opposite is true. Because of lack of vegetation, there is lack of oxygen. And of course, I've already spoken about the features being barren, there is no cover. So if you're moving up the hill, it's very easy to be picked up by the enemy from very long distances or long ranges. So that was a major, major challenge when the troops started to go uphill and counter the enemy and throw him out from the areas he had occupied. Weather, of course, is one of the enemy because it's very fickle. It changes very quickly. You can have bright sunshine and immediately, like you had yesterday in the afternoon here, you had a solid downpour. That happens very, very often there. Or you can have, snowfall, you can have very, very heavy snowfall at times. So the weather is very fickle, and it's an enemy there actually, really. Low temperatures and scarcity of water, I think, would be well appreciated, because most of the water has to be fetched up from the rivers. So you're sitting at 19,000 feet, very unlikely that you'll have a water source near you. So either you depend on the snow which has fallen in that area, so you collect the snow, you melt it, and you turn it into water and you drink it. And by and by, as the snow starts melting, you have to go further and further away to collect fresh snow, bring the snow to where you're staying, melt it, and then convert it into water. So very simple things which you take for granted in your life become challenges when you're operating or you're staying in these very, very high altitude and difficult terrain areas. And of course, it gives you certain implications. The first being that if you're sitting on the height, as would be obvious to you by now, you're at a great advantage. So the Pakistanis who had intruded into our area were sitting at the heights. And they had a great advantage over us who had to actually climb up and assault and evict, kill and throw them out. Extreme low temperatures, of course, not only affect the human body, it also affects your weapons, it affects the ammunition, it affects the way some of your important critical equipment behaves. Even that gets affected. Of course, lack of oxygen I've spoken about. As some of you may have gone for some treks, the higher altitude.
वो मिस्टर विकास की फाइल
आप
पॉलिसी बाजार। मैम, आपका हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस क्लेम अप्रूव हो गया है। अब आप सर को घर ले जा सकती हैं।
क्लेम के टाइम पे हमेशा आपकी हेल्प को तैयार। पॉलिसी बाजार, 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 390 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सबको मजेदार बने.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा आम्ही कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ।
MDH लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
ऑटोमोबाइल द पॉलिसी बाजार व अहेरो मच दिनेरो। समझ में आया? मैंने कितनी बार हिंदी में समझाया कि पॉलिसी बाजार से कंपेयर करके कार इंश्योरेंस पे 8,000 रुपए तक बचा सकते हो, पर कुछ लोगों को अभी तक समझ नहीं आया, तो मैंने सोचा स्पेनिश में समझा दूं। Adios, amigos.
सर, हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
अब आया असली स्वाद.
अब आया स्वाद.
जब स्वाद के पड़े हो लाले तो MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला डालें. MDH का चंकी चाट मसाला.
MDH.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
बढ़िया है. प्राकृतिक हल्दी, मिर्ची, धनिया.
नहीं, मिर्ची, धनिया, हल्दी. MDH.
मसाले सच सच MDH.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
अरे ऋषि आज स्कूल नहीं गए?
3 महीने से फीस नहीं भर पाई तो निकाल दिया स्कूल ने. कहीं आपके बाद आपके बच्चों के सपने न टूट जाएं. आज ही लीजिए पॉलिसी बाजार पे 2 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 690 रुपए महीने से शुरू.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर. MDH गरम मसाला, असली मसालों से भरा हूँ मैं,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला. पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला.
लोग इस बात को चाहते हैं कि हरियाणा में ये डबल इंजन की
सर आप बहुत लकी हैं कि आपके बेटे ने हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस और बाकी सारी फॉर्मेलिटीज टाइम से पूरी कर दी है.
मेरा बेटा?
तो फिर आप?
पॉलिसी बाजार.
क्लेम के टाइम पे हमेशा आपकी हेल्प को तैयार. पॉलिसी बाजार 1 करोड़ का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 390 रुपए महीने से शुरू.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
MDH की देगी मिरज, देगी मिरज का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का. MDH की देगी मिरज.
सर हा माझा CV. तुमचा CV खूप चांगला आहे, पण आम्ही फ्रेशर्सना काम देऊ शकत नाही.
आई वडिलांच्या या इच्छा मी कधी पूर्ण करू शकेन का?
प्रगतीचा ध्यास घे तू, विकासाची कास घे तू, शिक्षण आणि प्रशिक्षण घे तू, परिश्रमाचे वेतन घे तू, नव्या महाराष्ट्राचा घे तू विचार, कुशल युवकांचे स्वप्न साकार.
कुशल महाराष्ट्र, रोजगारक्षम महाराष्ट्र.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. I'm today here at the Iranian embassy and joining me on the telecast is Ambassador Iraj Elahi. Thank you very much for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
My first question, yesterday we saw the first anniversary of the October 7 attack that took place in Israel. We have seen that there has been Hezbollah strikes that have pounded Israel yesterday. We also saw that Hamas declared that it had struck Israel. We also saw Houthis sending out those missiles to Israel. At this point, these are all Iran-backed groups. And what is the message that is going out from Iran's side and from these three organizations that are backed by the country?
Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to clarify the situation. Let me complete your question. Yesterday, Hezbollah hit Israel, Houthi hit Israel, Hamas also hit it. But at the same time, Israeli jet fighters, drones struck Hezbollah in Lebanon, south of Beirut, and it started a ground invasion on the territory of Lebanon. And at the same time, the bloodshedding massacre or genocide of Israel in Gaza is continued. So let's see the picture complete, give a comprehensive picture of the ongoing situation and ongoing events in the region. Regarding the 7th of October, I always mention this, that we should consider the roots of this event. The roots of this event goes back to the history of Israel, history of Palestine, the depriving of people of Palestine, and they were obliged to leave their homeland. And for this, how to interpret or analyze the 7th of October 2023 depends to the to your discourse. If you believe that it is a singular event, okay, you can say or call it as a terrorist act. But if you consider the roots and history and background of the events and the relation between Palestinian and Israel,